Everyone. So, excuse me, we're here and we have Togekiss. So first things first, Togekiss was amazing. There it is an extremely good Pokemon in game. Um, some of the only downsides being the level up learn set that it used to have, but obviously everything has amazing level up learn sets now. Um, but like stat wise, Togekiss, oh god, I'm stuttering. Togekiss had some ridiculously good stats for like a regular Pokemon. Obviously, 550 base stat total is nothing special now. Obviously, it's standard almost for three-stage evolutions that are mixed attackers or are just stronger mixed three-stage Pokemon. Mostly all have 550 base stat total now, which is not anything setting Togekiss apart. However, in general, Togekiss just had really good stat distribution, a really good typing, and a really good ability in Serene Grace. Um, so like it was just really good. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Let me drink some water. So the buffs are more so just modifications for Togekiss because again, it was amazing already. Mostly in the form of great move pool additions and some small stat adjustments. But then Togetic. If you say Togetic, you're weird. Or Togekiss. Oh god, that's so weird. Togetic is acceptable, I guess, but it's Togetic. Togetic was. Now I want to say Togetic. Whatever. Togetic. Whatever. Okay. And don't pull out those official pronunciations because those are like bullshit at the time, anyways. So Togetic is much better with Eviolite now. It was already a pretty solid Eviolite Pokemon. However, it's actually like really strong with Eviolite, and is a genuine option over Togekiss. Also, I have to add these guys to the speed tier guide. I forgot. Yay! I did it live. It's an easy one, anyways. You just paste them right there and make it a little smaller. And then Togetic was 55. So Togetic was already pretty good with the Violite, but now it's a genuine option because their bulk is actually very similar. So Togekiss has 85, 85, 120 bulk, while Togetic has 60, 85, 110 bulk, but with the Violite, that's obviously immensely bulkier than Togekiss. I will show some calculations to show the rough approximate bulk of Togetic in a second. If I could just send to this, please, or whatever. Doesn't matter. And Togepi can go as well on here, even though it doesn't matter. I just put it on there for consistency. So yeah, I can show them in a second, but their abilities. So that's what I'll address first. Their abilities, obviously, Serene Grace is godly. I will talk about how useful it is after I talk about Trace, but Trace is a very situationally amazing ability, and I think it's the best ability I could have given it that doesn't break it or anything. Because other things I was considering was like, oh, Pixelate, oh, Aerolate, oh, keep super luck, which is mid on special attackers, the only high crit special rate move. High crit, obviously there's 100% crit special moves, but there's no move that benefits from super luck, especially besides air cutter. And yeah, I could make more, but I don't care enough to do that. And also most of those moves don't even fit anyways to be high crit rate for special. Hold on, let me just the ones that were high crit rate are mostly 100% crit right now, so and are like completely changed. Hold on, this is 30, right? No, 25. Sorry, everybody. I just want to get this done before I forget. All right, that's good now. So as I was saying, yeah, Togekiss has a base 90 speed as well. I'll cover why. I mean, it makes sense. It had extreme speed before, so I figured, you know what, like give it a little more speed, take out some physical defense because 95 is weirdly high in my opinion. So 10 speed and then the extra 5 base hit was 1 in speed F just so it's even 120, 120. But otherwise, all I did was swap 10 out of defense into speed. Also because Togetic is like an egg guy, so it makes sense that he has like good defense or solid defense. But Togekiss, like I don't know, it just looks too like fluffy to have like a good 95 defense in my opinion. So 85 is much more reasonable. And of course that speed stat helps a lot with Serene Grace flinch bullshit. But and also just like scarf sets and being fast in general, like maybe agility or something. But I want to talk about Trace because Trace is really useful. So Trace, obviously it copies the opponent's ability when you switch it in, but the best thing about that is you have infinite use ability capsules. So what you can do is you can essentially run Serene Grace most of the time, but then when there's a battle where you know that you're going to be tracing an ability that you want, you can do that. So I'm just going to give you a hypothetical. Let's say I'm just going to scroll blindly until I land on a Pokemon. All right, where are we at? All right, we landed on Magmortar. Say you're fighting a trainer with a Solar Rush Mag Mortar, you can put Trace on your Togekiss to trace their Solar Rush, and then you can like reverse sweep them almost with your own Solar Rush boosted speed. So that's great. I'm just gonna scroll randomly to another mon to show you another example with Fluffy. Oh my God, tracing Fluffy would be insane. The point is you can really trace some amazing abilities. Tracing Stamina is amazing. Like I'm just scrolling randomly and I'll just stop randomly and show you guys. Tracing Neuroforce is great. Tracing Luminescent is great. Like you can really, really, really abuse Trace if you're smart with when you switch in your Togekiss, and if you're using the trainer documents, which I recommend strongly, especially if you're doing a hardcore Nuzlocke. Which I mean, hardcore Nuzlocke is basically forced if you're doing a Nuzlocke because the only thing that you can technically cheat on is playing on Swish Battle Style, which is like, why would you do that? Other than being a loser. So yeah, with like a hardcore Nuzlocke or something, you can really like. I would recommend you definitely look at the trainer documents to prepare for the battles that are coming up ahead instead of just blindly going into them and losing all your Pokemon. Because you can't heal in battle, that's automatically disabled. So Trace would be awesome for that. Like you can really control what ability you copy, and you can copy some amazing abilities. Trace is great. It's situational, but it's amazing. So that's the beauty of having the ability capsules. And obviously Serene Grace is great as a whole. So Serene Grace has a couple new options. So of course you still have your typical 60% flinch air slash. However, you also have, and I'm going to go through all of your Serene Grace moves right now. So I'm just going to go through level up, then I'm going to go through TM's tutors. It won't take that long. So Ancient Power has a 30% chance to boost all your stats with Serene Grace, as does Water Pulse and Ominous Wind. So you have 3 moves that have a 30% chance to boost your stats by 1 with Serene Grace, which is amazing. So that's number 1. Number 2 with Serene Grace is Air Cutter, has a 50% flinch rate and a +1 crit rate. So the 50% flinch rate is useful for early game because you don't get Air Slash until 30. And Air Cutter is 60 base power, Air Slash is 80. So yeah, Air Slash is a strict upgrade unless your Pokemon has Technician or Super Luck. Then Air Cutter is debatably better, but otherwise, debatably, definitely not debatably in Technician's case, it's better in Technician's case. Although you still are missing out on a slight chance to flinch. So, anyways, other Serene Grace stuff. Extrasensory has a 60% flinch rate with Serene Grace and 75 base power. What am I looking at? Razor Wind is 120 base power, but it always crits, so it's essentially 180 base power, and that also has the same flinch rate as Air Slash now, so it has a 60% chance to flinch with Serene Grace. That's amazing. Moonblast has a 60% chance to drop special attack with Serene Grace. And then lastly, by level up, Eternal Beam has, I believe, a 50% chance to drop Spadef with Serene Grace, or 60%. 60% chance to drop Spadef by 1 with Serene Grace, which is excellent. And obviously the main advantage of that is that it's very strong and accurate. Meanwhile, Moonblast has a slight chance to miss. So if you want a powerful fairy move that isn't like Flare Cannon, you can run Eternal Beam for recoil on like sweeping sets with agility or Nasty Plot or Calm Mind or something. Of course, which it also gets Calm Mind, Nasty Plot, and agility for setup, which is all great, and a couple more things I'll get into. But there's Serene Grace stuff. So of course I said Ominous Wind already, and I said Water Pulse already. You also have Signal Beam, which has a 50% chance to boost your special attack with Serene Grace, as does Dazzling Gleam, and that's Stab. So Signal Beam and Dazzling Gleam are both 80 base power, so you have Fairy, Stab, and you have Bug coverage, both of which have a 50% chance to boost your special attack, which is really good. With Serene Grace, obviously, normally it's 25%. So keep that in mind when I list these. This isn't the real effect, this is the double chances. What else here can do that? Weather Ball has a 100% chance to drop special defense with Serene Grace. So if you're running like a weather team and you have Weather Ball on your Togekiss, you have like a Weather Ball boosted, Rain boosted Weather Ball, or Sun boosted Weather Ball, or Rock type Weather Ball, Ice type Weather Ball. Those all will always lower special defense with Serene Grace, which is really nice to have. What else has interesting effects? Nature Power, if you're under electric terrain, will get you Thunderbolt, which you otherwise don't have. So that has a 20% chance to paralyze with Serene Grace, which is nice. I could probably give them Tri Attack with Serene Grace just to be that guy. Yeah, I'll throw that on there somewhere. But then that messes up the spacing. How do I fix that? I think what I can do is this. Hold on. I'll leave it off for now. All right, I'll figure this out after the video. After the video, they might have Serene Grace, and if they might have Serene Grace Tri Attack, which hits 3 times, so it's 105 base power overall, and each hit has a 10% chance to status. So that would make each hit having that would make overall a 50. Hold on, 27 times 2 is 54. Yeah, I was right. Okay, 54% chance to status, which is really good. But obviously, it's only normal type, so it's not that good, honestly. It's useful, but it's kind of cheap. I wouldn't really run it. Shadow Ball has a Shadow Ball and Psychic both have I think it's a 40 and then a 50% chance to drop special defense with Serene Grace, or a Sphere as well. So all three of those have high special defense drop rates with Serene Grace. Flamethrower and Fire Blast have high burn rates. Flamethrower with Serene Grace has 20% chance to burn, while Fire Blast, if I can go up and find that, has a 40% chance to burn with Serene Grace, which is very high. And it's also only 90% accurate, so it's not like it's that inaccurate. So that's awesome. Energy Ball has a similar special defense drop rate as Shadow Ball, Psychic, and Aura Sphere. I think that's almost it. Play Rough has Play Rough will always drop attack, although it's coming off a 50 base attack. It's just there because like it's a fairy type, so I put it on there for flavor. But obviously, it's not good on it. I think that's about it. Hurricane has the same flinch rate as Air Slash. I already talked about Fire Blast, and then Focus Blast has a 60% chance to drop special defense by 1 with Serene Grace, and that's all the Serene Grace stuff. So that's all amazing. I mean, you have flinch moves with Extrasensory and Air Slash, Razor Wind, and Hurricane, and then you have Omni Boost moves with Water Pulse, Ancient Power, and Ominous Wind, and you have a bunch of other moves that have like special defense drop rates and whatnot. So that's all great. And then of course so I would say your best Serene Grace moves are the flinch ones. I would say Dazzling Gleam and Signal Beam are amazing because they have a 50% chance to boost your special attack, and then Ominous Wind, Water Pulse, and Ancient Power, albeit weak, are 2 of those are reteachable, and they are solid coverage, and those will have a niche 30% chance to boost your stats by 1, which is really annoying. But yeah. So that's that for Serene Grace. Serene Grace is great. You can use Thunder Wave, or you can use Choice Scarf with 90 base speed. You are much better. You are much quicker, so you can really take advantage despite having a little bit less bulk physically. It's nice to have that increased speed, so you can get those quick air slashes off and flinch people to death. It's pretty cheap. It's really strong. It's Togekiss. I don't know what to tell you. And again, Togetic is amazing. That's what I'll do now. I'll cover the bulk on Togetic versus Togekiss. So your HP is about 40-ish points lower. Sorry, 85. Is it 85 or 80? 85, yeah. Okay, about 50 points lower, which is not terrible, honestly. So despite having 50 less HP, you have. If I'm gonna run neutral nature in both your defenses. Actually, no, I'll put a bold nature on both. I'll just do that for consistency, whatever. I'll just put Togekiss in for fun. Makes my life a little easier. Alright, so 252, and then we're gonna put 2. I know you can't run more than 510 EVs. I'm just showing it for the calculations. Bold. So, I actually have to show the speed stats to show the defenses. So with a Eviolite, your base 85 defense is actually equivalent to, if I put a Jolly Nature just for the calculation, if you have a max defense Togetic, you have 442 defense with a Eviolite, which is incredible. That is basically equivalent to, if I use this for comparison's sake, 442 is about what? Oh, not even close. What am I doing? No, that's the EVs. 151, 152 base defense on Togetic. So that's already amazing. So essentially you have okay, I'm just trying to say 60, 80, 60, 150. I'm just gonna round it. 152. Actually, I won't round it. 152 or 151 rather. I'll just write it down for the sake of it. And then your special defense is amazing with the Eviolite. So say you have a plus special defense nature with max defense. Actually, I'm going to do neutral nature for this comparison, all right? I will do a neutral nature. So no plus speed nature in this case. Just I'm only using speed so I can show the number with the +1 from a Eviolite, if you're curious. So you have extremely high special defense and defense. So your special defense on Togetic with the Eviolite is 110, 478. So that is equal to max it out. 168 base special defense without a plus nature. So let's say you have a bold nature Togetic with max IVs. Your bulk, if you run 0 HP investment, obviously I'm not like, this is obviously a little bit, I'm just showing the maximum stats. So your bulk is basically 60, 150, 170, roughly speaking. And if you don't have a plus nature, you still have really good SPDF. Actually, sorry, that was with a neutral SPDF nature. And without a plus defense nature, you still have great defense with 403, which is over probably, it's like what, 135? Yeah, 134. So you have 134 or 151 base defense depending on your nature, and obviously if you have minus defense nature, you'll still be bulky is my point. You still have well over like 40 to 50 points of defense over Togekiss, and then your special defense is even more, is like also well over 40 to 50. So you have basically almost like 60, 140 to 150-ish, 160-ish SPDF. Like it's really, really bulky, is my point. All right, significantly bulky in Togekiss despite the HP loss. So that's definitely worth using. And your special attack is only 30 points lower, so you're not that much weaker. The main disadvantage being number one, your speed is a lot lower, so you're gonna need like Thunderwave to flinch, flinch stuff to death, which honestly isn't that unreasonable given the fact that you're bulky enough to be able to actually like click Thunderwave reliably and whatever. So you can do that to parry flinch things to death if you want to flinch stuff, or you can just have it as a nice bulky Pokemon to have. It's very nice. So it's up to personal preference which one you want to use. And another big disadvantage of Togetic or Togetic is that Togekiss can't run an item, which is a big deal in this hack because of all of the boss fights and stuff. You're really going to want to take advantage of held items for specific boss fights. You're going to want super effective weakening berries. You're going to want a focus sash. You're going to want a choice scarf. You're going to want a choice specs, whatever it is. You're going to want all kinds of different items. And so being limited to mostly just a Violet and maybe choice scarf on Togetic is kind of not it. But again, that's the trade-off you're making. So you get immense bulk over Togekiss, but you can't hold an item, and you are slower and weaker. So that is the trade. Togekiss is still a great one, though. These are both very equally viable, in my opinion. It's really up to personal preference which one you want to use. So yeah. Also, there is only one Eviolite at first. You get the early on Eviolite in Koni, and then there will either be an Eviolite shop like later in the game or in the post game, depending on if I can fit it. That's for me to figure out once I finish Pokemon changes. I could plan out all the wild Pokemon and all that crap. It's gonna be a long time. But anyways, yeah. That's really about it. I mean, there's not too much else to cover. You have tons of great utility. You have Plain Eyes, Baby Doll Eyes, which are -1 attack and special attack respectively, and their priority. Encore is nice. Draining Kiss is really nice. Tearful Look is -1 to both offenses at once, which is really nice. Wish Baton Pass is great. Baton Pass is minus priority, so that's essentially teleport. So that's great, and you can use that as like a teleport wish type thing, as like a bulky pivot with Togetic. You can wish pass and just be really bulky pivot on, or you can, and that's really great given how bulky you are, or you can just take advantage. What am I trying to say here? Or you can abuse Baton Pass with, Nasty Butter, Calm Mind, or technically Agility, although speed passing is harder because you are negative priority. It's still doable, especially because you're bulky on. So I would also say that Togetic is a much better Baton Passer than Togekiss because of how much bulkier it is. So that's another advantage of Togetic or Togetic. I keep swapping between the pronunciations. Yeah, also the logic for Trace I don't think is weird. I mean, it's the Jubilee Pokemon. It's all about like aura and blessings and stuff. So I think Trace fits nicely. Same vibe as like Gardevoir. So yeah. You have other good stuff like Charm and Befriend is -2 attack and special attack respectively. Magical Leaf has 60 base power +1 special defense, which is great. Yawn is there for sleep early game, and then at level 65 you get Dreamy Kiss, which is actually consistent. It's 85% accurate, and it puts them to sleep for 2 turns. So if your Togekiss outspeeds something, you get 1 turn of setup, so you can get a free Nasty Plot or Calm Mind. If you are slower and they hit you first, and then you Dreamy Kiss them, put them to sleep, then you get 2 turns of setup. So that's 2 free Calm Minds. Nasty Plot is only 1 PP, so you could still only use that once for balancing reasons. But that's the reason you would probably run Calm Mind over in that case if you want to get 2 setup moves. Or you can use, a Nasty Plot, and then you can roost off the damage in the second turn or whatever. Or you can just kill them before they wake up if you're slower. So that's the stuff you would want to weigh out there. The disadvantage being that you are vulnerable to taunt if you are slower than them. So yeah, that's great for Togekiss. Aeroblast is nice for critting. It's 98 base power and 95% accurate. Well, it's 65 base power, but with the crit, it's 98 base power. Aeroblast works great in conjunction with Floor Cannon because Floor Cannon drops special attack by 2, and Aeroblast ignores that special attack drop. The only downside, of course, being that it is 95% accurate is what I'm trying to say. Sorry. Two other cool things you get for utility is Lucky Chant and Heart Swap. Lucky Chant at 37 is kind of niche, but it is pretty usable because it prevents critical hits and it's priority. And with like a Ruthless Pokemon, for example, most of the Ruthless Pokemon learn their critical hit moves from between the levels of like 38 and like mid 40s for the most part. Obviously, there's always going to be exceptions, but most of them learn their critical hit rate moves between those levels. So before you learn Heart Swap, it's nice to have Lucky Chant to click against Ruthless teams. If there is a Ruthless Pokemon that is like got a shit on your entire team, you can click Lucky Chant and disable them for 5 turns, or disable their crits for 5 turns, and that completely neuters their damage output. Their 70 base power crit moves will go from 158 base power to 70 base power, so you're over having it instantly, which is really nice. And it also works for your whole team and their whole team. Obviously, the downside being it's only for 5 turns, sadly. Check something in the. Okay, just wanted to make sure of something. Okay, we're good. Heart Swap is amazing. So Heart Swap, what that does, it is priority and it swaps your stat changes with the opponent. So you can reverse sweep really nicely, especially with Trace. So Trace plus Heart Swap is really cool because you can trace. Say for example, your entire team is getting swept by a Hubris Noctowl, for example, and your entire team is getting swept, and they're like, you know, 2 of your Pokemon have gotten fainted and you don't know what to do. Obviously, if you were smarter, you would just send it out after the first death, or without anything dying. But if say it's out of control, you can then trace that hubris, and then you can Heart Swap their stat changes onto you, get their stat changes, give them your neutral stats, and then you can reverse sweep them. So that's excellent to have. It's definitely worth using for Heart Swap. Otherwise, you just have some other small utility things like Trick is nice. Roost is obviously amazing. Taunt, Reflect, Light Screen, all that kind of stuff is great. I think that's about it, honestly. Not too much else to cover. So thanks for listening to this one. It was a pretty quick one because there wasn't too much else that changed. I mean, they're different and they play differently, but overall they're still bulky, very long types with Serene Grace bullshit. So yeah, thanks for listening.